Resilience isn't something you build alone. It's something you access when you have the right support. For trauma therapist teams, resilience based training creates that support by fostering co regulation, connection, and communication. And this makes all the difference when facing the hardest parts of this work. Hi, I'm Jenny Hughes, founder of the Brave Trauma Therapist Collective. In our last video, which we're linking up here, we talked about how resilience based training helps individual trauma therapists thrive in this work. But this is not just about you, the individual, it's also about the team that you belong to. And this applies whether you work in private practice or a large organization, because we all have colleagues, referral sources, and other people that are doing this work with us, even if and when it feels lonely. As a part of a team, no matter how big or small, trauma therapists come up against a lot of unique challenges. And resilience based training gives you the tools to support each other, to regulate together, and manage even the hardest days. Today, we're focusing on what I call the 3 C's of resilience based training for teams: co regulation, connection, and communication. And I'm going to define what each of these means. We'll talk about how they relate to your work as a trauma therapist and share ways to bring them into your team's regular interactions. And remember, even if you don't always feel like you're part of a team, this applies to the work that you do with any other professional as you go and doing the work that you do to support your clients. So let's start with co regulation, a term that is more common in work with kids, but one that applies across the lifespan and is much more well known. This is the first C of resilience based training for teams because it truly is the foundation of resilience in any group, especially when we think about teams that include trauma therapists. Co regulation happens when team members help each other regulate their nervous systems through connection and support. It's not just about managing your own individual stress, it's about creating a shared sense of calm and stability that the whole team can feel in their brains and bodies, especially in those moments of stress or crisis. Co regulation is a syncing up of our nervous systems, and it can go in any direction, up or down. To support our individual and then collective resilience together, we want to help our nervous systems down regulate when they're activated, right? But this is not to say that activation or that upregulation is bad. It's a normal part of our brains and bodies and responses to things. And something important to remember with any of this is that we are expected to be impacted by our work. That's why that upregulation is not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. And when we have the support that we deserve, we can regulate through the hard stuff. So, I want you to think about what it's like when you're deeply connected with a client in session. In brain spotting, for example, we call this attunement, which is just another word for co regulation that happens in relationship. When we are attuned to a client's nervous system, offering steady breathing, maybe, or maintaining a calm tone, holding that safe, grounding presence with and for them, we are co regulating. Often this happens without us even knowing. And for me, a lot of times it's like I suddenly realize that my breathing is totally synced up with my client. Or it's like I can feel the same expansiveness in my body as they're telling me about in session. It is really a very cool process. And all of this applies to work in our teams. When one person stays grounded and steady, it ripples through the group, helping everyone find balance. One thing to know, this is really going to be most effective when a leader of the group is guiding the co regulation process, because those natural group dynamics take over in these settings. So, when teams are able to co regulate, especially through a leader, they can then start to process the stress and weight of this work together instead of feeling so alone with it. This reduces the risk of burnout and turnover and creates a culture where everyone knows that they are supported. So let's talk about some examples. How do we start to co regulate together? A great way to start is by creating some shared grounding rituals. This helps to really foster co regulation for your team. And you can do this by starting your team meetings or even your one on ones with a brief grounding exercise, which could be as simple as taking 3 deep breaths or doing a short body scan or practicing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 together. This sets the tone for co regulation and helps everyone show up fully, and then can also be something you can return to if the content of the meeting or whatever you're talking about starts to be too activating. Co regulation is super helpful after an intense session or day. And, it can look like taking 5 minutes as a team to reflect on a hard case and knowing that just by talking and debriefing together, just naming what felt hard and what felt manageable can really create a collective calm. And I want you to know that co regulation can be fun and playful too. Try a shake it out moment, right? Stand up together, dance, literally shake your arms and your hands to release tension. It's silly, I know, but it works. And it's a great way to bring co regulation through laughter and movement. The next C is connection and building authentic, trusting relationships within your team. Connection is about creating a culture of mutual support and belonging. It goes beyond just working together. It is about genuinely valuing and supporting one another as human beings. In trauma therapy, we see this all the time, right? Healing happens through the relationship. And when a client feels safe, seen, and held, they're able to take risks in their healing process. For teams, connection works really the same way. When team members trust and support one another, they're more likely to collaborate, to step up in tough moments, and to feel less alone. This really, really matters because connection is crucial to feeling safe and to have a sense of belonging. It reduces isolation, strengthens teamwork, and helps everyone move through challenges together instead of feeling like they're all in silos or worse yet, working against one another. There are simple and fun ways that you can start building and strengthening connection within your team. You could start by dedicating time in team meetings for members to share something they're proud of or a new thing they recently learned. This can even be paired with that co regulation grounding strategy where you all take 3 deep breaths together and then go around and share something that they're proud of or that they learned. Having this as an ongoing invitation creates space for connection and deeper knowing of each other. Another way to work on connection in your team is through collective gratitude practices. Once a week, try to find time to go around and share one thing that you appreciate about someone on the team. Then that team member can pass it along to another. This can be done face to face in meetings, it can be done through written communications, or any other way that works for your culture within your team. Gratitude really strengthens connection and reminds everyone of their value. And then a fun and playful way to foster connection is to host a favorite things lunch once a month where everyone brings their favorite snack to share or a song to sing. Karaoke at lunch, let me tell you, it's a thing. This is a light, fun, and great way to build connection through shared joy and interests. Lastly, but not least, let's talk about communication. The key to overcoming challenges as a team, right? So many of us struggle with open and clear communication around tough stuff. We're afraid of how to bring it up or to deal with the topic. And the problem here is that the more we avoid hard conversations, the more toxic our relationships and team culture become. Resilient communication means creating a culture where team members can share openly and honestly without fear of judgment or retribution. It's about having clear, respectful conversations that strengthen relationships and create clarity. This is not about never having conflict, though, okay? It's about everyone in the team knowing that you can work through it when it happens, because it will. We do this a lot with our clients in session. We guide them to name their emotions. We help them learn or relearn how to express their needs and to set boundaries clearly and respectfully with others. In teams, resilient communication works the same way, helping everyone feel heard and creating shared goals and understanding. Without this, miscommunications can compound stress that is already present in trauma therapy teams. Resilient communication makes sure that challenges are addressed early, that misunderstandings are reduced, and everyone feels supported. This is the C where most teams struggle, and starting to make change in this area can feel scary. Let's just call a thing a thing. One of the first things that I do when I help teams is to help them develop structured feedback practices. Having a really simple framework for feedback, which can include just talking about what's working, what's not, and what can we improve, keeps conversations focused and productive. And some teams that I've worked with started out by doing this first in a written format with verbal feedback or discussion after reviewing the form with the responses to all of these questions: what's working, what's not, and what needs to change. This is a great way to scaffold new communication practices together. The next thing to do is to really invest in training that teaches conflict resolution skills so that disagreements become opportunities for growth rather than sources of tension. Healthy conflict resolution has to start with the leaders of a team. And if they can't engage in the process, it's really hard for the rest of the team to experience any kind of positive outcomes in this area. So if you are a leader, please take this to heart. And of course, there are fun ways to work on communication together too. And this could be having a team debate about fun, low stakes topics like the best pizza topping or maybe the most underrated movie. This builds communication skills and supports connection in a lighthearted way. So, now that we've talked about all of this, I want you to reflect on everything you heard and think about what is one way that your team already practices co-regulation, connection, or communication. Let us know in the comments so we can all build on these skills together and celebrate the ways that we're already using the 3 C's. And then, of course, think about what is something that you want to try, that you want to implement. And when you're ready to take that next step in building co regulation, connection, and communication in your team, reach out because the Brave Trauma Therapist Collective is not just for individual therapists. It's also a space where teams, group practices, and organizations can find the tools, workshops, and consultation support that they need to thrive together. Through resilience-based training, we at Brave help teams create the foundation for working through the hardest parts of trauma work while staying connected to their humanity and to each other. You can find more details about Brave in the description below. And if you're looking for a simple, practical tool that your team can start using right now, grab my free soft transitions worksheet. I designed it to help your team create moments of calm and grounding during the workday and around the tough stuff, because resilience starts with small, intentional actions. The link is in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.